we had the opportunity yesterday to have Dean come in, and we hosted him at a great property that was here in Utah, and we got to know each other with some side chat and banter and things like that. Um, Tell us about so we'll have Dean go a little over his life and how he got to MIU and got into regenerative organic agricultural space and what he plans on doing after MIU, and a little side project that I love. So Dean called Abby and I um, about 10 days ago, maybe a week ago.
10 days.
10 days ago. And he was picking baby spinach.
Yeah.
What?
And I was thinking of Abby and my other teammate, Ashley.
Good.
And, yeah.
And so tell us more. Why does baby spinach make you think of them?
So in the wintertime, we do 4-season vegetable production. In the wintertime, things get very sparse. And it gets very meticulous harvesting baby spinach. We harvest every leaf by hand. You know, people want a nice big bag of spinach because it cooks down to a handful. So we're picking, for, $3 bag of spinach takes like quite a bit of time. And we're out there doing it because that's what we do.
Wow.
So I'm out there by myself now because Abby and Ashley are now gone, handpicking all that baby spinach. So I was like, I'm thinking about how we all should just pile in on it, and I decided to give Abby a call and hello, I gotta get Aaron.
Fair.
I was driving and I heard the big rig going on, and
yeah, it was awesome.
half joking, you said, when are you gonna come visit? And I'm like, I don't know. And you're like, how's next week?
That's
And I
right.
said, I don't know. He's like, all right, well, how's this day? I was like, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
And
100%.
got me out here. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was way cool. Well, it's a pleasure to have you for sure. When you're picking the baby spinach, or any of the plants, quite frankly, you talk to your plants?
Not so commonly, not so out loud,
Okay.
but I like to just be, very much attention more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so can they...
And it depends on my mood. If I'm in a very, outspoken, jolly mood, I'll be singing, I'll be hello, like what's going on, all that. But that's not every day,
Yeah.
but most of the time it's like it's part of my family, we're out there.
The plants are part of your family?
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, explain more.
You know how
What do you mean
proud-
by that?
So we literally call them babies. We're in the greenhouse starting seeds. We're like, oh, look at all the babies. It's like, whose babies? It's like God's babies. We're God's babies. We're all part of the family.
Wow. Wow. That's a great analogy.
And so there's really babies growing babies. It's awesome.
Babies growing babies. Nice. That's awesome. That reminds me of when AI will make itself AI. You know what AI stands for?
I feel like this is a trick question.
Okay, but what do you think AI
Artificial
stands for?
intelligence?
I think it stands for Aaron Intelligence. I tell my kids that. No. So babies growing babies. I like that. So do human seeds and baby seeds come from the same place?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, interesting. I like that. Tell us about how you came to MIU. And
So,
that whole-
back
that
to
whole
your
meetup.
original question.
Yeah, that.
The loaded question. So it's tough choosing where to exactly begin, right?
John.
But John, all
Or
right.
before John.
So we were talking about this earlier. John taught me Transcendental Meditation, or at least gave me the intro lectures and got me really amped about it and really into it. So John Freeman, who is incredible in San Luis Obispo, go to Intro Talk, hit him up. He's amazing.
Good promo.
So he just put me on to the world of Transcendental Meditation and the TM movement. It's a worldwide movement. And I had no idea this was going on. At the time, I was going through a internal rebirth, reorganizing my whole life, and seeing things just change and go on. And he kind of grounded that back to, yes, this is the thing. There's people that are here to do this with you, and here's how you can ground yourself. with the practice of Transcendental Meditation has been awesome for me.
Yeah. How many times do people usually do it a day? Like, what's the process of TM?
The normal practice is twice a day.
Okay.
Twice a day, 20 minutes.
Twice a day, 20 minutes. And like, without going into too much detail or what you can or can't, I'm not really sure. But like for our viewers that are listening that maybe you're stuck in a rut of life, like you were at the time. Were you in a rut of life, would you say, when you found John?
Yeah. Like we were talking about last night, I was just, I think it was because I was turning on my body through partying and just bad social practices. It was just the natural reformation of nature to really cause chaos in my mind to then force me to seek out some medicine.
Oh, great.
And that medicine was all sorts of things, but one of them was getting a stable meditation practice.
Wow. So what's interesting that I love about this is, so I used to have this company called My Mini Casa, and I would always tell people, we're not a container sales company. We're a people development company that sells containers on the side. And what came to me when I was building this company was people need games in life, or they need simple, repetitive practices that push them forward. And
sounds like farming.
Yeah, no, I like that. And so what I found is that there was I'd go to all these inspirational talks and I'd listen to all these people speak at different events and everything like that. And it all came back to the same 5 or 6 things. And why people change or they move out of their comfort zone. And they were things like this. So number one of them, for example, was loss of a loved one, right? As a reason that people change. A near life death experience is a reason people change. Divorce or separation is a reason that people choose to change. Dismemberment, so you lose a body part, or you get sick. Passed over for tenure at a job. Depression, so addiction, which is depression, and that forces you into seeking help that then helps you focus on your higher power. And then there was one beautiful one. Most of them were negative. And there was one beautiful one, and that's the birth of a child. And so it's interesting how you just said, okay, you're in a place of chaos, and you were looking for, what's the right word? You were looking for stableness? You were looking for what?
Answers.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Great answer. Answers. Okay.
Yeah. Like why is this happening? How is it happening? What are we doing here? And
so you were seeking the answer of life.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I like it. So I'm just going to ask, what is the answer of life?
What's the answer?
What's the purpose of life?
Oh man. The purpose of life, in my opinion, is to just live it. As a human being, we're here to live life.
Mm-hmm.
And, while we're living it, we can appreciate it. We can share our love, share our joy. And we really do whatever we want. We just live it.
I love that answer. Now, you just said as a human being, can you, for a minute, speak for the plants and tell us what a plant's purpose of life is? In your belief?
I don't think I have that. It's above my pay grade.
Okay, Abby. Well, yeah, so here's this crazy thing that I learned from this gentleman on a show. His name's Barth, and he said that there are literally, in some countries, there are literally laws where in Parliament the rivers vote. The rivers vote in Parliament, they're a member of Parliament, and there's a group of people in a nonprofit organization that are put together. And they literally vote on the behalf of the rivers, right? So if we, for this situation of a game, we're the plants, to our best ability of the work that we've done, let's speak if the plant was. And we'll all give an answer. So what do you think the plant would say my purpose of life is in comparison to what you just said your own purpose of life was?
So if I were a plant, so it's interesting. So I'm not sure exactly the state of consciousness that a plant experiences, but there's a lot to say that, for a tree, for example, they're intimately connected with everything, as are all of us. But to what extent does a tree know that? So to what extent a tree knows that, I think would better help us answer this question. So is a tree there to produce seed so that more trees grow? Is it there to feed the microbes to then help grow soil and help grow more trees again, which help regulate our climate and help the planet be healthy?
Yeah.
Which helps the solar system be in balance and ripples out like that. So a tree really lives a intergalactic balancing purpose.
Wow. Okay.
I think
As do all of us.
exactly. I think it's very similar to humans, as yes, there's a seed component to proliferate. There's also the relationships to build diversity and connection, and that's what we're all doing. So it's kind of the same thing where it's the purpose is interaction and experience.
So I would agree with both of you. Like when you said what the purpose of life was for you, if I was speaking for the plant, I really believe that the plant's purpose is the same as yours. Exact same the way you said it. Is to live it. It's my job to live it. And what's interesting is there was, again, I refer to Barth, but Barth introduced a lady, and I don't recall her name. We'll have to look it up. But this lady is a scientist out of Canada, and her team studied a forest in Canada in BC, and there was the three biggest trees of the roots. So they discovered they studied the mycorrhiza, or this fungus, for 20 years, and she literally said, we're scratching the surface. And she said, what's amazing is the parent trees of these big three trees make up for 80% touch of this forest. These big three trees touch 80% of the forest, or the big one. One touches 80% of the forest. Three trees touch 50%. That's how much growth they have. She says, we've literally found a science where the trees, they give favorship to their own grandchildren. So exactly what you just said, in my opinion. So it's really beautiful to think that you have worked enough with plants that now I believe that you can speak in symbiotic with the tree, and you didn't even know. You literally just said, I can't speak for the trees. That's above my pay grade. But then you thought about it and you did it, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're all the same. We're all the same seed. So it's really just opening yourself up to your family once again.
Do trees meditate?
I think they're just on that tree consciousness level. And I don't know exactly how a tree experiences consciousness, but I don't think it needs to. I think people need to.
Interesting.
People should. It helps a lot.
Okay. Help me with people and consciousness. So for our audience is typically that regenerative organic agricultural space. But I believe really our
Shout out to the audience.
What's that?
Shout out to the audience.
I love that. Thanks. But in addition, I really think it's everybody. Everybody's curious.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I think what you just said about meditation is something I refer back to this again, and it's going to happen a lot. But what's that saying you have?
Into the soil I go, to mend my mind and heal my soul.
So tell us your thoughts of as above and so below.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. How do you practice of as above and so below?
Not so much a practice, but a recognition, just a pattern recognition.
Tell us more, like the root system, or like
that's the
internal,
most,
or what do you?
That's the most obvious one that I can think of is, a tree's only going to be as strong as it is rooted.
Okay. And people the same way with community, or with self, or with what?
In general, yes, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So rooted is like I'm sitting down meditating and my root chakra is rooted into the ground, or the depth of my community, or both.
Can you rephrase that?
Yeah, so root chakra, like the root and like rooted, my root chakra, and I'm meditating and sitting on the ground and my roots rooted in, or the depth of my community, as above, so below. So like you said, a tree is only as strong as its root base.
Oh, in terms of human development?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's both for sure.
Both?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say like yeah, your roots gotta be rooted, but it's just a whole balance of your human system.
I gotcha.
It's not like my root chakra is so grounded right now and it's gonna develop like crazy right now. Like
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. So let's talk about farm to market. So in the car yesterday, this was a fun one for me, by the way. Very fun for me. So I got schooled, flat out schooled. It was like, I literally said to I was like, okay, so here's what our plan is. In this location, we're going to do a farm to market. And I said, we need help. And they're like, okay, so what's the plan? And I said, well, the plan is we're going to grow food for the farmer's market. So, like, what do we need to grow? And they're like, no. Like, I can't remember how you said it. How did you guys say it?
This is all Abby. I was just sitting in the back seat after a plane ride. I was like,
well, I think I was curious about the context of it and like what interest was already there. Would the restaurants in the town be interested in that? Is it in their budget? You know, if we have some preliminary numbers for them. I mean, in our experience at MIU in Fairfield, we had numbers to offer restaurants in this example, and a lot of times it was way too expensive for them to even consider. So before a farm wants to start, it's so important to have like all of your homework done and have a business plan ready so that you know what you're going to input and the potential of your market to be for feedback for yourself, which is where a CSA comes in, because the shareholders pay for it at the beginning of the season, like a investment into that season's produce, which gives assurance to the farmer.
Interesting. So
I think just real quick, I think that was the big thing that jumped out at you was, in your mind, you were developing, what is this farm going to look like? But in Abby's mind, we're like, what do the people need? Mm-hmm. So it's the blend of those two is what needed to happen.
Yeah, thank you.
You added something, though, there that's new context from yesterday, which I really love. And then from the show that we had earlier, the show that was earlier, you just said CSA. Mm-hmm. Could restaurants be CSAs?
I believe they could, yeah.
Interesting.
You mean shareholders in the CSA?
Yeah.
They would hold, yeah.
Would that reduce cost potentially to help, or would it increase cost?
To who?
To the restaurant that you're competing with, Cisco Foods or U.S. Foods. That's who you're competing with.
The thing about a CSA share is that you are investing in that farmer, whether the weather is good or bad, or whether the crop is good or bad. And I think maybe restaurants might not be too excited to take that risk. Okay. And maybe there are numbers or percentages out there that would feel safe as far as how often that risk is taken, or how often a crop fails and so on, or the reputation of the farm, things like that.
What did you just say? Did you say there's risks, or did you say insurance?
Risk.
Okay.
Risk.
Where there's risk, there's insurance.
Did I say insurance?
No, you said risk, I believe. I just wanted to make sure I heard that accurately. Mm-hmm. So maybe restaurants would, and a lot of people don't like to invest in insurance. Lots of people don't. It's crazy to me. But where there's risk, there's insurance. So maybe restaurants could take a CSA. Mm-hmm. Maybe there could be a educational nonprofit for the insurance piece. Interesting. I like that. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So
I think real quick, I think kind of a blended model for applying it to restaurants, because CSA, that typically the implication is that's going to be like a share for a family of diversified vegetables. But I think it would be simpler both for the farmer and for the restaurant if you didn't call it a CSA, but more called it like a contract written up in the winter, where it's like we're agreeing to produce 20 pounds of kale, 30 pounds of carrots, whatever numbers, these many pounds of vegetables per week for you. And then they prepay for all those vegetables, and then you just deliver those vegetables weekly. So
they prepay when? Just curious.
In the spring before they get any food. So that's how the CSA model works.
They prepay before the seeds even go in the ground?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, like most of them, yeah.
Okay.
Typically, like we had our payment due by May, early May.
Yep.
So before most things go in, yeah.
Okay, so an established restaurant has their financials and their numbers from the previous year of how many people ate. They could estimate a budget of what's going to be the following year and what they're going to need. And so they could draft a contract based off of previous year's numbers on a seasonal level to estimate best case scenario. In the event that, because restaurants don't typically like to say they don't have any food, because then people stop coming and they complain and create bad reviews. In the event that the farm, in the event somebody didn't budget the right financials and they overshot it, can they order more from the farm? The farm has extra, right?
Of course, if that's communicated with proper lead time, and if the farmer has extra kale, for example.
Yeah.
I'm saying kale because that was like our main restaurant crop the past few years, so that's just what comes to mind.
Okay.
But most farmers who grow kale will have extra kale.
I gotcha. That's cool. And so let's say when you get a contract and it comes into you for your CSAs and your contracts, there's like, I know in livestock industry, typically they do a contract and 80% of their livestock goes to contract and 20% is kept for retail market. Is it the same for the farms typically that you've seen? Like, does the farm where you're at grow an extra 20% for...
We're pretty much the opposite of that. So our main market is retail, direct to consumer.
Okay.
And that's just so context dependent, and we just had a few, like 4 or 5 restaurants that we were delivering to.
What percentage is CSA? Do you have any CSA?
Of revenue, it was about 30 or 40%.
30-40% was CSA.
Revenue last year, yeah.
Then what percent would you say was restaurants of revenue? 4 or 5, you said?
Maybe 5-10%.
So
we were not capitalizing on that by any means.
50% retail.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's retail to you? Farmers market or what's retail?
Yep, that's our main one.
All the farmers. What percentage is farmers market?
Again, of revenue?
Full 50% additional?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was no additional.
If not more, restaurants might be even less. We weren't doing a whole lot.
Okay, and so there was no leftovers for people to take home.
I mean, what kind of people? For the workers? We do a lot of donations to food pantries. Our workers eat really good.
Okay, so then is the percent a little less than 50%? Is it 40%?
I have an idea to answer your question.
Yeah.
So the way that we would harvest was based on what the farmers market demanded. So every week we would look at the past week's numbers to see how much we sold. And if we would sell out, we would go harvest more if we had it. So we tailored what we harvested to what the consumers needed and wanted, and also what our fields could handle. So it's kind of a numbers flipped all the time.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer.
Good.
So the number one thing in business that I've discovered is your reviews can literally kill you. Mm-hmm. So for a farmer in this situation, based on your model, which I love this number, I love that it's the 35 to 40% was CSA, about what you said, right? Mm-hmm. Then it was 5%-ish was restaurant. The rest was farmer's market. Maybe you go to farmer's market with the product first, and then whatever doesn't sell then goes into the freezer, and that's where the workers get some of whatever's left over. However people want to do the model, right?
That's also the cool thing about CSA when handled responsibly. When you have excess, you can give more of that to your CSA.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
I love
But
that.
that's another thing where reviews come in. Some farmers abuse that. So they'll give their CSA all their excess kale every week,
Yeah.
and then they don't come back the next year.
Okay.
So you just got to be careful
Yeah.
with dishing off the abundance there.
So,
You got to keep it
what
diversified.
I love in adding to that is if you sell out at the farmer's market, you sell out. And usually that doesn't equate to bad reviews.
No.
You just sold out because you're so good at what you do. So I truly love this model. This is really fascinating to me. So the farm that you're at, does it have any livestock, eggs, or anything like that that's part of the programs?
Yeah, right now we have about 50 laying hens.
50 laying hens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cage-free?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Wow.
Yeah. We started out with mobile chicken tractors, and we quickly realized that they weren't really built so well, so they were kind of a pain to move around.
What's a
and all
mobile
that.
chicken tractor?
So rotational grazing, right? I'm assuming most people are familiar with that idea. Moving your animals so that you don't overgraze.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically an easy way to rotationally graze hens. So it's a chicken coop on wheels that you can pull around.
Wow. Okay.
And we saw really nice, real quick, we saw really good feedback from that. The first year we did it, then after the first year we did it, the next year the grass sprung up, greener, started reproducing earlier. So it was very direct feedback from the effectiveness of.
Now, when you say the
rotational
grass,
grazing.
what grass?
I'm not sure on the variety of grass it was. It was just our pasture.
Okay, so just a pasture grass
mix
of
of
some
things.
sort.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. And was that the cover crop for the hens? Or
It was just whatever pasture grass was out there that's been there forever. It was brome grass, not a lot of diversity, a couple of Indian grass, species.
It was way nicer to walk on bare feet after that.
nice.
It was nice and soft.
Oh, we got to promo that a little bit later. Dean, we call the Barefoot Farmer, right? Is that what it is? We'll promo that one a little bit later.
But another context to that too, which is cool about the MIU farm, because it's an educational farm, the chicken tractors were student projects.
Oh, cool.
So what happened, in a few years, the chicken projects was said no. It didn't go through. The chicken project didn't go through. And this was like the third year, I think, that a project got analyzed and wanted and desired. And so our friends and fellow students decided they wanted to do chickens, and so they built the proposal and the budget and all of the work that it would take and how to build it. And then also us as the team had to say, okay, yeah, we're going to take on chickens as the next enterprise. And so they built these really cool mobile tractors to the best of their ability. And it turned out that one was over 500 pounds and one was over 400 pounds. And so we learned really quick that you had to be really strong to get those mobile tractors to be mobile. So we got iterations. Dean and I got iterations. So the student project was great and fabulous, and we got chickens out of it, and we learned a lot. And then it was our fun duty to keep going with it.
Interesting.
But mostly Abby's.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. How long did the chickens lay for before you did you turn them into meat afterwards, or how long? Mm-hmm. Or did you just render after?
So we don't at our farm, and I feel like few people. So some people do. The older that they get, the tougher they start becoming. They're not as marketable for becoming meat birds. I think it has a lot to do with how they're being raised, how they're being treated. And I think that answers the question of longevity.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will raise chicks, have them produce for a year, 2 max, mostly just a year, and then just have a constant flip like that.
Yeah.
But we don't. We're going to just have them keep going as long as they want to hang around for. We give them, so we get all the leftover food from the dining hall.
Yep.
We truck it over each day, and they get maybe about, it's like a 50-gallon trash can barrel full that they get.
Yep.
We pick up about 10 of those a day. It's
When-
actually been less recently from the dino.
When you say they eat the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah, they'll make work of it. They really like...
every day they'll eat 50 pounds. 50 hens will eat 50 pounds.
It won't fully disappear is the
Okay.
thing.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but it'll be to the point where they won't be eating it too much anymore.
Now, are they eating it? Or are they eating the worms that are inside of it, or both?
Both.
Oh.
Because the worms come up and they're like, oh, food. And
Yeah.
then the chicken's like, oh, food.
Simple enough. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
They really like spaghetti
They really like spaghetti.
and cherry tomatoes. Pasta and cherry tomatoes, they go nuts for.
Interesting.
Some Italian chickens we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Italian chicken.
Yeah. We got to do basil. We haven't thrown basil in there yet.
Yeah,
We always have tons of that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Do the chicken's guts process the majority of the plant and the seed, or is it like cattle where you'll feed a cow seed or grain and then it seeds it? So do you get intermixing crops that pop up too where the chickens defecate, or?
I'm not actually sure. You probably know more about this than I do.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that either. And I think it'd be hard to know because chickens are scratchers. And so they probably aren't going to get all the seeds. So we wouldn't know if it was from their manure or from their scratching and burying of it.
Oh,
Yeah, they're good diggers.
wow.
Yeah.
And their manure is much hotter, much more nitrogen rich than the cow manure.
Mhm.
So I imagine the cow manure is a much more attractive place to be sprouting out of than out
Yeah.
of chicken manure because they
Gotcha.
poop and pee out of the same hole
They what?
because they're efficient creatures.
Chickens poop and pee
Yeah,
out
they
of the same.
because when they're
hole.
flying, they take care of their business all at once. So
So sometimes I poop and pee out of the same hole too. It's usually followed by magnesium, but does that mean I'm efficient when I do that? Just kidding.
I'll let you answer that.
What's that?
I'll let you answer that.
Nice. That's so funny. That's good. Okay. Sorry. Sidebar. So, okay. Let's say that I'm just getting started, and have you heard about the Abbey Rose kits yet?
I have.
Okay, so Abbey Rose cultivation kit is a box that comes, and it's about 22 inches by 16 by 6 inches deep. It's a wicking system. What comes inside of it is like a little IKEA assembly kit piece. You put it together on top of this plastic tote, and then you put your pots inside of it. And then you put your mineral blends and your wicking ropes in, and you literally just fill it with water. And you can, the newer farmers don't have to tend to the plants every day, and they grow, and then it produces food. So let's say that I want to get into gardening, and I get an Abbey Rose kit cultivation system kit. And then I decide I really like it. Okay, so one kit produces 10 germinations or seasons inside of it, one kit. So now I really like it. So I'm getting to get more kits, right? I get a shelf of kits, bunch of kits. How hard is it for the everyday person to get into farm to market business?
Well, so first I'd start, growing your own food at home. So once you're stoked with the it's an indoor cultivation system primarily, right?
Uh-huh.
So once that's rocking and you're addicted to growing your own food, take it outside. If you're still liking it, think about going to market. Practice small scale in your own garden. See what you can grow in your area. See what you like growing. See what people like you growing. And then answer those questions. And then it really depends on where you're from too. So most people are probably in the easiest route to get into direct to consumer markets will be the local farmers market. That isn't always easy to get into for a lot of people.
What's the fee typically to go to a farmer's market for somebody to sell that?
Ours is $20.
$20.
Yeah.
Sell that. Do
Yeah.
you have to register an LLC or a business in order to even show up, or can any farmer just go?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you just grow and you pay $20.
Yep, $20 per table.
And then you have your vegetables or your garden kit items or other little things that knickknacks you may have made or bread or all that, which I get. But for this purpose, vegetables and fruits. So you have your harvest that you've packaged. Can you put your package or harvest in any way? Or is there certain ways that you have to package your harvest in order to sell at farmers market?
No, there's certain ways you have to, more so certain things that, okay, so if it's for our farmers market, if it's a value added product, you just got to list all your ingredients and make sure it's shelf stable, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for vegetables, it's very, like, you can be very simple. We actually started doing something different this winter. We used to bag up all of our baby greens, and now we offer people to bag up their own baby greens.
Interesting.
So we bring our totes of greens without them being packaged.
Yep.
And we supply bags, but people actually, I've gotten really good feedback about it, which I was kind of surprised about. They're like, oh, like we like this system. And winter market is.
And then how do you charge? By the pound, or how do you charge on this?
Yeah, we're $8 a pound for most of our greens there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Steve's funny. So Steve's one of our guys that we work with, kind of the pioneer of the program at NYU. And he likes to charge 50 cents an ounce because he thinks $8 a pound would drive people off.
Ooh, I like Steve. I like that. 50 cents an ounce. Man, he's such a genius. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, for our viewers that can't do math, it's the same price. It's just a marketing thing. Steve's a genius marketer, it sounds like. That's awesome. That's good. I like Steve. My favorite one was Steve when we did that Steve interview was, I think Abby said, Steve, what's your favorite tool in the garden? And then was it Dean or Abby that said the students? So good. So good. So, okay. So the farmer's market, so it's $20. So at $8, you need to sell 3 pounds to break even. Is that accurate, or are there people that are there getting paid hourly to be at farmers market too?
Depends on the farmer. You know, the farmer's very free man. He can give his nephew $20 to go run the market stand for the day, and whatever.
And then it's $40 to break even. So then you need to sell 5 pounds of greens and you break even.
Yep.
Cool. Is there a lot at farmers market?
Most of the time you see the farmer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our case.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it, at farmers markets, after the day ends, the products will go bad if they're not used. So you could put them in CSAs, right? Like you said, you could put the leftover in CSAs.
Certain things.
Yep.
Like the more stable things like tomatoes, zucchini, roots, will hold.
Okay.
Leaves, not so much. We always harvest leaves fresh.
Yep.
A couple of days before market.
Gotcha. So if it runs out, if it doesn't run out and you have leftovers, what do you do with them?
A couple options. Chickens like eating all those things.
Okay.
So that's kind of the last resort. It's like, okay, like we're here, we're back at the farm. We didn't take care of things. Let's go take a bin to the chickens.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yep.
And that's worst case scenario, in my opinion, which is great.
Yep.
Best case after not selling out is we get it to, in our community, a soup kitchen.
Oh.
So soup kitchen, that's a pay-as-you-may system who feeds a lot of people. And they're donation-based. They both accept donations for the food they serve, and then people give them excess food. So we supply them quite a bit of leaves.
Oh, wow.
Mainly because the leaves don't hold, so we give them right to them.
Yeah.
Like lettuce, awesome. Like one time we absolutely overburdened them with lettuce. I didn't realize they didn't have like a walk-in or anything.
Yeah.
And we showed up with like a couple totes of our lettuce, and we're like, all right, like you guys are stoked, right? Like here's all this lettuce. They're like, they start putting it in like plastic bags and shoving it in their fridge.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, whoops. Like, so yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's crazy. You overgive and it creates a space problem. That's interesting.
Yeah. But we got a couple outlets. So I'm sure most communities have multiple outlets to go to. We also have, it's called the Lord's Cupboard, which is a community food distribution place for low-income households.
Yeah.
So they can come up and pretty much grocery shop.
Wow.
And they don't, it's kind of, what we bring is kind of a luxury item in that place. So they tell us that people are really excited when they see our green sitting there, and it just flies when it shows
awesome.
up. So that always feels good.
Yeah,
and then another option is just the workers take it home, preserve it, cook with it. And that's a big win.
That's cool.
Keeps us fueled and excited.
Yeah, when I was little, I picked raspberries in the summertime up at Bear Lake, Utah. And the first year I remember, I'm not sure. So I want to say they paid us like $5 a case, or a flat, $5 a flat. And I mean, they were not easy to pick. It was crazy to me. How people gamed the system was even more crazy to me. Like, they put a couple of rocks in their buckets and go turn them in. So wrong, in my opinion. Okay, but they were gaming system. I never did that. But what was interesting to me is the first year, I ate way more raspberries than I turned in. So many. The second year, I didn't want to do the job. It was hard, because now you take your flats up there and they look at them like, okay, based on this flat, we're only going to give you $3 because then maybe I picked them and made them mushy so they can't sell for as much, right? It's just like a whole thing. Does your farm have pick and pay options at the farm?
Kind of.
Okay.
Not explicitly, and the common term is a U-pick that we would say. So like a U-pick system. People just come, they pick it themselves, and they pay for it.
Yeah.
What we do that worked really well for us last year was a CSA work exchange, where we would have people interested in a CSA, but either wanted to work at a farm and get some experience, or didn't want to pay for it, or couldn't pay for it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They just come out and help us harvest for 3 hours on a Wednesday.
Wow.
And they get a CSA share.
Wow.
So that's kind of a U-pick because there's an exchange of labor for the food.
How much food is usually in a CSA share for working for 3 hours?
It's the normal share that we would give a paying customer.
Which is how many pounds?
So pounds is tricky because it's super variable. What we go for is 10 unique items per share.
Okay.
Why I say sometimes pounds gets tricky because during peak season, we were offering like 10 slicing tomatoes per customer.
Yeah.
So that, that skews the pounds.
Yeah.
So there's weird things like that.
Gotcha.
But 10 unique items is what we go around. And I don't like to go below that unless it's like something really special is in there. Like if a watermelon's in there, maybe we'll do 8 or 9. But even then, it's by the time watermelons are ripe, the season's so abundant, we have so many things to give. So we're still going 10 items. We don't like to go more than 12 because some people don't eat that much vegetables.
Yeah.
So some people, they go through that. It's not enough for a week. Some of our customers, that would overload them, and then we're starting to create food waste in their home.
Yeah.
So we've received feedback that we don't want to be doing that.
How many different variations of products do you grow at this farm?
Like how many different crops?
Seeds and variations, yeah. How many different?
About 30.
30 different.
30 different crops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to do more, and now we've kind of put them under scrutinization and be like, especially this year, we had to really slim down and focus on just what we needed to do.
Yeah.
So we're about at 30 this season.
What percentage is heirloom versus F1 versus something else?
Mostly open pollinated.
What does that mean to be open pollinated?
Open pollinated means that it can be out in the field and it'll pollinate itself. And if you save seed from that plant, it will make the same variety.
I gotcha.
Whereas if you save seed from a hybrid seed that is out in the field and pollinates around, you're going to get all sorts of things.
Okay.
But all heirlooms are open pollinated, but not open pollinated are heirlooms, to my understanding.
What did you say?
All heirloom seeds are open pollinated, so
Okay.
which just means that no heirlooms can be hybrids, because that
Okay.
doesn't make
And
any
so
sense.
all your seeds are open pollinated?
Not all of them, most of them.
Most of them are open pollinated. Okay, gotcha. Interesting.
We're trying. In the past, we haven't done many heirloom tomatoes. This year we are, and for production, we don't really do many heirlooms. But I like to
Yeah.
sneak some things in there for personal reasons.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What's your favorite?
Favorite to eat or grow or what?
Let's do both.
Sweet potatoes are really fun to grow and eat.
Mm.
Because they hang out for so long, and harvesting them is really fun, and you get multiple crops from them, and it's really good. And the roots are tridoshic, which means it's balancing for all of your doshas.
Oh,
So that's sweet potatoes are awesome.
that's good.
Leeks are fun, which we realized last year, which were really easy, kind of a long-term crop that wasn't really profitable for us, but I loved growing them. I loved pulling them out. The variety we grew was Lancelot. And I was like, I understand why it's because it's like Excalibur.
Oh, that is awesome. Lancelot.
I always say when we're out picking chard, I'm like, man, I love growing chard because it's so pretty and so abundant in the season,
Yeah.
but I don't like eating it. And I feel kind of the opposite about kale. Kale's like, kale's all right to grow, but I like eating it.
Yeah.
Lettuce is cool. Peppers are fun. Tomatoes are fun. There's few things that I don't like growing. And if we don't like beans, I have mixed feelings about just because of the harvest. Picking green beans takes a really long time, and you got to be on it. You got to be very routine. You got to hit that window. So if you're at the end of a window and it's 4:00 on a Friday, you got to make some decisions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many, of all the stuff you grow, how many of them do you harvest the seed and then grow off of the seed versus buying new seed again?
We saved seed on 5 or 6 different varieties last year,
Okay.
which is more than what we've done in the past. We did some winter squash, eggplant, Carolina Reaper peppers, okra, cherry tomatoes, and some Goodrich greens, which is a variety developed by Steve over the years.
That's awesome.
And
Parsley?
and some other random ones. Parsley we saved on. This Friday I was walking by our mammoth sunflowers, and the birds didn't eat all of them, to my amazement. So I saved mammoth sunflower seeds.
Wow. Are mammoth sunflowers mammoth? Are they big?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Stocky.
Like big face or like what?
They can if they're given the proper space and planted at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put ours in a little late, so they were only 8 feet tall.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Something about the sunflower seed I never knew, but maybe you could explain to me is, so when you eat a sunflower seed and you chew off the hull and you eat the seed in the middle, when you plant the seed in the ground, is it the seed in the middle you plant or is it the hull?
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
You plant the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the flower grows out.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Have you ever grown an avocado?
I have 2 avocado trees in my trailer and 1 sprouting right now.
Wow.
I was about to put a succulent plant into this pot that I had put avocado puts in a while ago. And I was like, oh, they're not sprouting. And I dug around to stick the jade in, and I saw it starting to sprout. So I got one on the way. But avocados don't grow in Iowa, so we don't have those going on.
No, of course. But it's fascinating to me. You stick the toothpicks into it, or you wrap the seed in the cloth, and then it starts to break apart and sound. And then you put the toothpicks in, and then it gets that really good root system in, and then you plant it. Is that how you did yours too, or?
I don't mess around with that. I feel like I like just doing it how you just put it in some good soil, keep it moist, and a month or 2 later it comes up.
How nature would do it.
Yeah, and then you don't have to transplant it because I don't get, it's nice because it takes a while, I think, is the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a while, takes a while to come up.
Grown in there?
Yeah, right.
Coming up soon?
But
where are you at?
But with it in the water, you see those roots start. You're like, okay, something's happening. But then with avocado, I was watching a guy do different try. He's like, this is straight up. This is in the water. This is after transplanting. And the ones that he was disturbing the root system just got a lot of, set the growth back a lot. So I just decided, just do it that way. And they've come up very readily. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool.
On the tree note, can you say more about all the trees that we got to plant on the farm and kind of like why you chose those varieties? And
Yeah. So our farm was lacking in woodiness, you could say. So we were very vegetable heavy, and I wanted to start getting into more forestry. So we didn't end up planting a whole lot of production species right away. I wanted to get natives established and start kind of cultivating those areas for woody species with native pioneer species, so that it's just lower maintenance and we would have more success down the line when we do want to come in and start planting those production species.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that we did grow can still be used, like our sandhill plums.
Mm-hmm.
So out front, we did a windbreak with sandhill plum, elderberry, Osage orange, and persimmon. So all those are usable, and not necessarily all by people.
Did you say orange?
Osage orange. So it's
Osage orange. An orange grows in Iowa?
It's not a citrus.
Oh.
It's kind of a funky looking. It kind of looks like a citrus. It's kind of like a green, cylindrical brain looking thing.
Okay.
And they're awesome for timber. They're like renowned for their fence post ability and being able to craft really long lasting things out of it.
Purpose of a windbreak. Makes sense.
Yep. And they're in the row where the persimmons are. So the Osage oranges take off, go really fast. Persimmons not so much. So we'll harvest the Osage, 10 years down the line or so, when the persimmons are just starting to be ready to take over the canopy.
I've still never eaten a persimmon to this day, but
Oh, you should.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. Sorry, keep going.
Well, that was it. Just so there's kind of a succession planned.
So Osage, persimmon, and what else in that tree group?
So that was
Some plums.
Yep. So that was one line, was Osage and persimmon. The other line in front of it, so it's a 2-line windbreak in this case.
Yeah.
And the other one is just sandhill plum and elderberry alternated, which are kind of more shrubby.
Yeah. The sandhill plum is a shrubby tree.
Yep.
And the elderberry is a shrub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were playing with the
Like a
different
hedge.
canopy heights to maximize the usage.
It's really cool. And do these windbreaks work efficiently for trapping snow and water?
I don't know how effectively, but like they will, create a more stable soil sponge over time.
Yeah.
So be able to store more water.
Yeah.
And for snow, yeah, it would be able to catch snow and break it for sure.
Do you use any microbiology from groups, such as like out there on campus? I've seen soil techs building. Do you use any microorganisms or anything like that in the gardens?
Yes. So we do our own composting on site.
Okay.
So we do our own microorganism cultivation, you could say. So we have that, and then we have a Johnson Sioux composting system, which is now known for its incredible diversity, both in fungal and bacterial and in nematode and everything.
Yeah. And so a market farm, a farmer's market, so farm to market, I go to a farmer's market and I don't sell out because of whatever reason. Best case scenario is feed to the chickens. Second base scenario.
That was worst case.
Oh, that was worst case. Okay, sorry. Worst case is feed to the chickens. Is worst case feed to the chickens, or is worst?
Because they already have plenty of food. They have unlimited food from Annapurna all-you-could-eat buffet.
Yeah. So is worst case scenario feed to the chickens, or is worst case scenario put it in the Johnson Sioux?
So the Johnson Sioux you build all at once.
Okay.
So once that's built with a carbon-rich medium. That's just a very slow decomposition. So once it's built, we don't put anything in there.
Oh, I gotcha. Interesting. Huh. It's cool.
Our worm bins, we do have some worm bins as well. So, but mostly they just get the coffee because they're right next to our coffee brewer. And
What's the difference between a Johnson Sioux and a worm bin?
basically what it's composed of primarily and the additions to it.
Okay.
But a Johnson Sioux bin is basically a giant static worm bin that you build all at once and then harvest it all. And then you rebuild it, you harvest it all. With a worm bin, you can kind of feed it continuously, harvest it continuously. And they tend to be more bacterial dominant. The Johnson Sioux tends to have more fungi in it than a vermicomposting system.
That's awesome. Okay. So I want to do a quick promo for you. That's maybe a potential in work. We have full intention to keep this in the recording. However, if you're not quite ready, we may choose to not put it in the recording. We do work that way. This is a studio sometimes. So this morning we talked about you potentially being a consultant for farm to market. And you would recommend a couple hours of intensive, you said, right? Or a couple weeks of intensive.
Mm-hmm.
So can you go over that structure and plan that we talked about this morning?
Yeah, so this was me just kind of off the top of my head brainstorming on how I would go about helping a farm get going. So, and kind of thinking about how much time that would require me to invest personally. And it totally depends on who's there at the farm to be listening and to be taking the advice that I'm saying.
Yep.
But what I just, off the top of my head, I said 2 weeks, at least like 20 to 30 hours per week of just intensive. So go and visit it, maybe stay there a few days, go back home, work on the business plan, work on some marketing strategies, and work on their crop plan.
Yep.
Then start planning out infrastructure, start planning out, again, markets, who are they going to be selling to? And that would be a lot of the lead work. And then starting to develop soil building strategies. So getting the soil tested, starting to see what needs, if anything, done to the soil, which is 99% of the time something could be done to help the soil. And give them a long-term fertilization strategy, a short-term like soil kickstart strategy. What crops will work well on that short-term jumpstart? How can you start investing into long-term systems? Like again, I've never seen this site, but maybe start planting trees for long-term silvopasture or orchards. Start thinking about where the ponds could be, if ponds are the thing they're interested in or want to do. So there's a lot of considerations to do. So it's very much kind of an early interview that needs to happen with the client.
Yep.
Get what they want, what they're capable of, and who's going to do it. Figure all those things out, and then I could really start to help out.
Yep. And so 2-week intensive for 20 to 30 hours.
Yep.
And then once a week update with the team and see how they're coming along, and that would be how long?
Yep, maybe just a couple hours once a week.
Okay.
Maybe even just as needed. Could be like a text, like, "How's it going? Do we need to meet this week?"
Awesome.
Like, yes. Like, okay, sounds like a 2-hour meeting this week.
Yeah.
So just as needed.
Perfect.
Depends on the people, how spongy they are with,
Totally get that. 100%. How coachable they are.
Yeah.
How I think when you hire a good consultant, sometimes you need to be there available for emergencies. Maybe, and to me, an emergency is, I don't know what I'm doing next. I'm losing it. And it's a reminder to go back to the list and, just get their brain right sometimes. Or quite frankly, I've seen it well with another consultant. Sometimes it's just a human checkup on how you're doing and energy. So makes sense. Makes sense. In your consulting, would you recommend, or is it suggested that the person you're doing with learns TM?
I would always speak from my experience and say that I love it. I wouldn't be like, you should learn this, but I'd talk about it. And if they're interested, they ask questions and I'd guide them to where they could learn more.
Cool. I'm going to say personally, Transcendental Meditation changed my life. Truly changed my life. I heard about the practice a long time ago from a friend of mine, James Jensen, who built this really cool company called Jump Limitless Flight. And I asked him one day, I'm like, James, how do you do it? You travel the world, you go to all these places, you're always either raising money on an event. He also did the Void at Disney that he sold to Disney, where you go and blow up the state park Marshmallow Man, and it was all the Disney parks in the world at one point in full VR. And I said, James, how do you do it? And he literally said, Transcendental Meditation. I said, what is that? And he said, well, there's this class here in Salt Lake City. You go to it. It's a 3-day thing. I can't tell you too much about it, but I'll literally be sitting in a taxi in China, and I'll drop right into TM. And I'm like, okay. And he said, sometimes I do it 2 days a week or 2 times a day. Sometimes I do it 4 times a day. And then I sleep for a few hours, and I'm able to do what I need. Now, I still recommend a full night's sleep, 100%. But it was the coolest thing. And then when the opportunity popped up, I was actually at the Kansas City Seed Show, and the opportunity popped up, and it was during election this last go around, and it was, okay, go to Alabama to a gravel pit potentially, or go to MIU. And I had no idea what MIU was. And one of the nonprofits that I work with, he literally said to me, MIU? Yeah, let's go to that one. It was so cool. And I showed up, and it was Abby's last day of work when I met her, and Dean was there with Abby, and it was Steve and Rick, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, not only the TM, Transcendental Meditation, so we got there, we met, and then they said, hey, to learn TM is 4 days in their program. I've seen programs that do it in 2 days. Then their program, it was 4 days meeting. And I literally told Tim, I said, let's stay for a week. And we stayed for a week. After we met these guys, I want to say it was the next day. I don't think it was that night. I think it was the next day we saw you at Down South.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, which is like a local pho place and that's what I saw it as anyways, a soup place in Fairfield. And they walked in, and I mean, it's amazing. Our foundation story, this group, the 3 of us, and the ones that are missing, your amazing wife, shout out to his amazing wife.
Love you, Melina.
And Tim and Mike Joseph and Barth and all the pieces that came together. I mean, truly synchronicity, truly this beautiful universe that comes together. And I'd be wrong to not thank Maharishi, the guru, not the university, but the guru, who is this yogi who was in California, and then they bought this university and moved it all. It's humbling that we really are a 1 in 400 trillion chance that we'll ever meet. You even going to MIU, you being there and working with him at MIU, and then us showing up. I mean, just an unbelievable, magical story.
Yeah.
And so truly honored by that. I'm excited for Dean and many of our guests that we have on, but I'm really excited for Dean because I truly believe, we'll be headed down to Apple Valley, Utah this evening, and 5 million people every year go to Zion's and to Bryce Canyon to see it. 5 million people a year. And statistics say 57% of them are Asian. When I say statistics, we can tell by credit card usage. They eat as organic as it gets. I've been to China, and it literally comes to the cities for 25 million. It's all around the cities. When you ride the trains, you can see it. And it's the big trucks go out to the cities to get the real food, the live food, and then they take it into the cities every night. Earlier on the show, we had somebody that said they're one of 5 organic vegetable groups in all of Utah. It would be my full intention to not only in Helper, Utah, have you come and consult, but also in Apple Valley, have you come and consult. Have you come to consult in Bryce? Have you come consult to some of these different places? Because the market already says we need organic agricultural 5 million people. I have eaten at this place in Boulder, Utah, on Highway 12. It's a beautiful drive, absolutely scenic, beautiful. It's like one of those ones where you're driving and it's really sheer drop up on both sides. And it's a highway, crazy, Highway 12. And in the city of Boulder, Utah, there are 4 restaurants. That's it. They're all organic, all farm to market, all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful place too. There's 4 national parks within an hour and 30 minutes of each other. I mean, it's phenomenal. And to see what they did there and maybe be able to reproduce this in Zion's and Bryce would just be phenomenal. We're going to be at a cool property tomorrow that people have heard of called where the Red Bull Rampage is. There's a mesa down there. We're going to be with the landowners that actually, in partnership with the BLM, own and manage that land. And it's going to be so cool. My favorite part about this with Dean coming is I literally want to create this mini Fairfield there, which this MIU experience. And my favorite part is going to be this. So usually I don't like to do the late nights. And I did tell them that we'll be getting in at 1 o'clock a.m. this evening. In this trip, we're on going on a 23-day run, and Dean will be with us for, I believe, 8 days of that still, or maybe it's 6. But anyhow, my favorite part is we're going to arrive at 1 a.m. It's going to be dark. He's not going to see anything. I'm going to get him up at 6:40, and the way the sun bounces off the different colorations of rocks in this market, phenomenal. Like, I dream of mini homesteads on properties down there and building communities that are literally like mini Fairfield with all the modalities, the sound modalities and the massage and all of the different health modalities and the Transcendental Meditation groups and every religion visiting. Like, I dream of that. It's, the best thing I could say is it's as above and so below. And I love, what do you do for a living, Abby?
Soil regeneration.
And so when people ask me, what do I do for a living? Social regeneration. So as above and so below. And I look forward to more people joining the community like Dean, who we can have be a part of it, consult, and everything else. And to you, the viewer out there as well, we want you to be a part of our community. Come and join us. Come to these properties. Get into gardening with cultivation kits. Learn from people. Go to the different universities. Dean is one of the most approachable humans I've ever met. Truly fascinating. The MIU farms are so open to students having inputs. Today I heard a phone call come in from a gentleman that's, top 3 in charge. It was a student that recommended that we potentially needed to meet somebody there. MIU is a beautiful university and place. I'm very lucky that that was part of our story. And we invite you to come be a part of the magic. And if you feel like you're stuck in a rut of life, if you get back to the roots, I truly believe that you will find your space in life. Come join us.